Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today I'm going to be working from Tanya Holland's Brown Sugar Kitchen cookbook, and I'm going to be making buttermilk cornbread. I have yet to find a cornbread that I really love that I have made at home. I've liked it just fine at restaurants and that kind of thing, but I have not made one that I like at home. Other people like it just fine, whatever. So we'll see how we like this one. There are a ton of ingredients. I'm very disorganized today, but I'm pretty sure I have everything I need, even something I don't need for this recipe. So, pretty sure I have everything I need, and we're gonna get started. The one thing I want to tell you is that I have my oven preheated to 425 degrees, and I have a 12-inch cast iron skillet that I put in there just a few minutes ago to heat up, because that's what we're gonna cook this in. So I'm not gonna do this in the order that she says to do it, just because I think I know better. Not really, but I like to whisk up my dry ingredients, and I don't wanna get my whisk wet with the wet ingredients first. So I'm gonna do the dry ingredients first and then do the wet ingredients and then combine them. So I'm going to add flour. I'm gonna measure it. I haven't pre-measured it this time, so this will take a little bit longer than it does usually, and I'll show you how I measure flour. I don't remember where I learned this, but basically I kind of scoop the flour, sweep it into my cup, and then I make sure that there are no holes in it, and then I sweep the extra off the top. And that's how I measure flour, and to get a consistent result every time. So we have flour. I'm gonna put this back here because I'm gonna need it again for another recipe. I'm gonna need some cornmeal. If I normally cook for somebody who is gluten intolerant, I would not do this, but I don't, so I'm not too worried about that. Cross-contamination and everything. But I'm just going to do the same thing with the cornmeal. There we go. Now we need to add our leavening ingredients. We're going to add some baking powder, quite a bit of baking powder actually. Doing basically the same thing with the baking powder, except it has a nice little built-in scrapey thing for me. And then baking soda, not very much of that. Comparatively. We need some kosher salt. We need kosher salt, and sugar. So sugar in cornbread is a controversial topic, but I don't mind some sugar in my cornbread, but we're gonna do it because it's the recipe and because I don't mind it. So a little bit of sugar, well, some sugar, let's say. And that's it for this. And I'm going to sort of whisk this together just to sort of get everything incorporated nicely and break up any lumps. Whisking kind of takes the place of sifting your flour and other dry ingredients. So I do that because I don't like to sift. All right, so those are our dry ingredients. And now we have a slightly larger bowl, and let me put these away since I've already used them. And we're going to put our wet ingredients in here. So we're going to add, we have just one egg. There we go. And like the recipe says, we have buttermilk. Yes, have the right one. So I'm just going to get the buttermilk out of my cup. And then we're going to whisk this together, break up the egg and all that. And that's all we need the whisk for, so I'm going to put that in the sink. And now she says to mix the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients with a wooden spoon. I prefer using a silicone spatula, but the point is you don't want to whisk these together. You want to sort of gently mix them and not over mix them. So that's what we're gonna do. I think we're just gonna dump it all in and mix it up. There we go. So this is sort of just barely mixed. And now I'm gonna add quite a bit of melted butter. Pre-melted it so it's not super hot anymore, but it's also not room temperature. And we're going to just stir this in. Always messy. All right. So that is pretty well stirred in, and that's our cornbread. So now we need to get our pan out of the oven. And okay, so another thing. There's an optional ingredient in this recipe. You can add some cooked corn kernels. We're not going to do that. I have some corn in the refrigerator, but I didn't want to bother with cooking it and cutting off the cob and kind of so we're not doing that today. But now we're going to get our skillet out of the oven. So I'm going to kind of prepare a place here to put it where the very hot skillet will not hopefully burn me. Okay. So this is really hot, 425 degrees, but we need to put some more unsalted butter in here. And this is going to be all foamy as soon as I drop it in. There we go. There we go. All I need to do with this is sort of make sure that it coats everywhere that there will be cornbread, so it doesn't stick. And it should get a nice crispy crust. There we go. So that's almost all melted. Very hot. And all we're gonna do now is I'm gonna use my silicone spatula to dump all of this into the pan. Get as much out as I can. There we go. And kind of spread it until it's relatively even. And we're gonna put it back in the oven until it's brown on the edges and a toothpick in the center comes out clean. She says 20 to 25 minutes. So that's pretty much it for this recipe. Very quick to put together and not too long to cook. So we'll see you in 20 to 25 minutes to see what it looks like when it comes out. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make buttermilk cornbread from Tanya Holland's Brown Sugar Kitchen cookbook. And I don't think I've made a lot of cornbread on this recipe. I've made the corn pone from Deep Run Roots, which I'll include here. But I've made cornbread throughout my life from mixes, from, recipes. I think I've made the Jennifer Garner recipe, which was pretty good. But honestly, I think this is my favorite cornbread that I've ever made myself. It was really good. I did not include the fresh corn kernels, which is an optional ingredient, which I would probably do the next time. And I think that I would prefer it slightly thicker. So she requests a 12-inch cast iron pan for you to cook it in the oven. I would do it my 10-inch just to get a little bit of a thicker, end product, but whatever. It was delicious, and it's not that hard. It's just, you heat up your pan, you mix a bunch of stuff, you put it in the pan, no big deal. Can be ready for your dinner, like 20-25 minutes. This is a really Southern thing to make and have with dinner a lot of the time. So I will definitely be making this again, and I hope you will try it and let me know what you think. If you enjoyed watching me make this, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch me make something else next week.